One of the craziest things about blockchain is that you have open access to a brand new financial ecosystem where you can do things that you can't do anywhere else, like with flash loans, where you can borrow millions of dollars in cryptocurrency for free to make passive income. And in this video, I'm going to explain a brand new technique for doing this that I've never talked about on my channel. And I'm going to show you how you could do it. So if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory. Now on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below and subscribe. All right. So let's get into this. So first of all, let's talk about what flash loans are if you're not really sure. You probably are if you clicked on this video, but just a quick recap if you want the explain it like I'm five explanation is basically it's where you can borrow millions of dollars in cryptocurrency for free as long as you pay it back in the same transaction. So what does that mean? Like how would you be borrowing things instantly on a blockchain? Well, basically the blockchain supports simple transactions and complex transactions. So if I'm sending cryptocurrency from my account to yours, that's a simple transaction with one instruction, like just take cryptocurrency out of my account and put it into your account. But you can also do multiple steps in that transaction, like, hey, take money out, go do something with it, like trade it on an exchange, and then pay the money back as long as you're able to pay the exact same amount. And the great thing about flash loans, there's no risk that you can lose the money, okay? Like you can't do it on the blockchain, it just won't let you. And you don't need any money down or to take out the flash loan, and they don't cost anything depending on which provider that you're using. Okay, so cool. You can borrow this money in the blockchain and you can pay it back instantly for free with the money down, but like what can you actually do with that money? Like why would you take out a flash loan in the first place? Well, there's lots of different ways. I've talked about several on my channel. One is like arbitrage trading, okay, where you can basically see different prices on different cryptocurrency exchanges. You can borrow the money, the flash loan, buy low on one exchange, sell high on the other exchange instantly, and then pay back the profit. All right, I've done several videos on my channel about that. You can do things like leverage yield farming, where you can take out like more cryptocurrency than you actually need to deposit into a yield-bearing protocol, and then pay the flash loan back instantly in order to essentially get greater exposure there. Now, one way that I've never talked about on my channel before, all right, this is the new way, is basically using flash loans for trading. All right. And that's exactly what I'm talking about in this video, where you can basically trade, crypto that you don't really have. All right. It's pretty crazy. Now, this technique in terms of trading is not exactly new, but I've never showed this on my channel before, and I've never released the code until now. Now, I'm going to show you exactly how it works, but if you want to steal the application that I'm talking about in this video, then make sure you hold your spot for the Flash Loan Masterclass next Thursday, November 13th. Inside, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about flash loans and how to do the exact strategy that I'm talking about in this video. And I'll even let you steal my flash loan application. So trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hold your spot with the link down below. All right, so let's talk about how to essentially trade crypto with money that you don't currently have. Well, basically, this is an old technique of going long and a short on an asset. People are doing this for a long time in the stock market. They've been doing it with cryptocurrencies. But what you're doing is with crypto, okay, actually in a permissionless, decentralized way, with no middlemen on the blockchain, okay? So let's talk about some of these trading terms. So if you're a developer or you're just kind of, new to crypto and you don't really understand what, going long and going short means in this way on assets, let's explain it. So basically, if you're going long on an asset, number one, you're betting that the price essentially is going to increase on that asset. Let's just talk about Ethereum or Ether, for example. And just for example purposes, let's say that Ethereum is worth $2,000. Now, that's not the price at the time of this video, but let's just do that for easy math. So if you want to essentially bet on Ether appreciating in value over time from $2,000, you could just buy one ETH, and when ETH hits $4,000, you could sell it, and then you've doubled your money. But you have to wait for it to reach $4,000 to double your money. What if you could essentially, buy one ETH and then essentially have access to another ETH that you don't currently own, and then whenever it just appreciates 50% in value, well, then basically you've doubled your money at $3,000 instead of waiting for ETH to hit $4,000. But now, how would that actually work with flash loans on a blockchain? Well, first of all, you need to understand what a savings and lending protocol like Aave does, okay? So Aave is one of the OG savings and lending apps in crypto. Basically, it's a app that works on the blockchain. Okay, the website that you're looking here actually talks to the blockchain, and the back end of the application is powered by smart contracts. Okay, so essentially what you do here is you can deposit crypto on one side to earn interest. All right, and then you can also borrow crypto on the other side. All right, just like a bank. But you have to deposit crypto in order to borrow crypto on the other side. You have to deposit more crypto than you are able to borrow. And it confuses people like why these applications exist in the first place. Like, why would you want to take a loan out if you have to have money in the first place and more money than what you're borrowing? Well, there's lots of reasons, but one of the reasons is essentially to do the technique that I'm talking about in this video, but to actually be able to do it with flash loans, which I'll show you here in a second. So basically, let's say that you essentially wanted to deposit wrapped Ether, all right, into this protocol, all right, and then borrow USDC. Well, essentially, you would be going long on wrapped Ether in that case, but then you could essentially do that more with flash loans. So let's look at how it would work. So if you transferred, let's say 2,000, let's say you're doing 1 Ether, and Ether is worth $2,000, like I was talking about before. So if you transferred $2,000 worth of USDC, you flash loaned $2,000 of USDC, and then swapped 4,000 USDC for 2 wrapped Ether, and supplied 2 wrapped Ether to Aave, and then borrowed 2,000 USDC from Aave, and then paid the 2,000 USDC flash loan back. So you flash loan more money, okay? And then you've gotten greater exposure into Aave. Then essentially, as Ether's price is going up, then you have exposure to 2 Ether, all right? Not just 1. You only have to have the dollar equivalent of 1 Ether, but then you're able to flash loan the dollar equivalent of 2 Ether, and then perform this, and then now you've got basically exposure to 2 Ether sitting in Aave, and then you can essentially just ride it up on essentially 2x leverage. And so in order to exit that position, you basically just do the opposite. You borrow the asset, you close the position, pay the flash loan back, and then split the difference. So that's what it looks like to essentially go long an asset. Basically, you're betting that the price is going to appreciate later. All right, you buy it, but this case, you're using a small amount of leverage with this decentralized finance savings and lending application, and using flash loan as sort of the juice or the borrowed funds in order to do that, all right? Now let's talk about the other side of the equation, which is actually you can also go short with this. So if you're not familiar with what is going short, basically that means you're betting that the price of an asset's going to go down. So let's say that you think that Ether is currently $2,000 and you think it's going to go lower. Well, then essentially what you could do is, like without flash loans, you could supply 2,000 USDC, borrow 0.5 WETH, which would be about half that amount, and then swap 0.5 WETH for USDC. All right, that make you short. But if you're in it with flash loans, essentially what you do is transfer 1 wrapped Ether, flash loan 1 wrapped Ether, swap 2 wrapped Ether for 4,000 USDC, supply 4,000 USDC on an Aave, and then borrow 1 wrapped Ether and pay 1 wrapped Ether back with the flash loan. Now, of course, you could swap that for USDC if you think the price is going to go down. And then in order to repay that, you be out in terms of dollar amount much less. Now, so that's how you could do this manually, with flash loans. Like you could essentially have a smart contract to orchestrate this entire process for flash loaning, all right, and then moving these positions around. And that's not going to be a super high frequency thing necessarily. Like if you're betting on like a swing trade or maybe even like a much longer period than that, where you just sort of like, open this position and just wait and you close it out. You can do all that manually, all right, maybe even through your web browser. But if you wanted to do this on a more high frequency basis, then you could automate this into a trading bot, where essentially if you have a trading bot that wants to trade regularly, maybe with an algorithmic, set of rules, then you can still do that. And instead of having to make that thing just buy and sell without any extra borrowed capital, you can plug in flash loans this exact same way in order to trade those price movements and then use some flash loan leverage in the process. All right, so as always with something like this, there are of course risks associated with this, all right? Now, if you are essentially using leverage in any way, leverage when you're trading is always got risks. So what are they in this case? Well, essentially, there's always a collateral factor on these savings and lending applications. So if you're borrowing a volatile asset like wrapped Ether and you're on a long strategy, for example, and the price goes down too much, then of course, your position could get liquidated because the amount of capital that you're borrowing is relative to what the price of the asset now is, all right, is making your position delinquent, and they can essentially liquidate your asset. Now, the way to avoid this, of course, is to use less leverage to basically make it to where the price has to fall significantly in order for you to hit that. And then the way to mitigate that strategy is always to just use a small position to where, the amount of money that you would lose in that process, if that did happen, wouldn't wreck you. All right, so that's an overview of how to do this passive income strategy for trading with flash loans. Now, if you want to see exactly how this works and steal my passive income application, then make sure you hold your spot for the Flash Loan Masterclass next Thursday on November 13th. Inside, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about flash loans and how to do the exact strategy that I showed you in this video. So trust me, you don't want to miss this. Hold your spot with the link down below. Other than that, make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.